Now flip the picture. Just turn it around. Here we go.
Are you ready?
I'm ready when you're ready. Hello world, hello New York, hello everybody. This is the ACLOWE Show on the City World Radio Network. Hello everybody and welcome back. Those of you on YouTube, thank you very much. Those of you in the Aleutian Islands, thank you again. New Zealand, New York City, thank you and thank you and thank you. We have a very interesting show. Wait a minute. We always have an interesting show, so I'm not going to talk about that part. We have another interesting show. That's more appropriate. We have this evening with us a previous guest from last week on the Lowe Show, Diba Wilcox, who's to my immediate left, and we have my sometime co-host and contributing host this evening, Star Davis. How are you, Star? Good to have you on the ACLOWE Show.
Thank you.
And Dina, how are you, Dina?
I'm great, thank you.
And Star is going to have her own guest here this evening, Emmeline Stewart, and Star will tell us all about her later on. We're also going to have on here Julie Notwist, a comic here in New York City, who's been a guest on our show several times, and has also sponsored the comic night on this program several times. And we'll have her, she's going to be promoting something coming up this Sunday, July 21st, and she'll be on later on in the show. But we want to catch up because of the poor management of the ACLOWE Show by the people who run it. We had to bring Dina back, run out of time, which is just an example of poor time management in broadcasting, I guess. A horrendous example, actually, because I think we brought back Dina, at least 2 or 3 times by now. Dina, how are you?
I'm very well.
And it's wonderful to talk to you.
Thank you.
We were discussing in the lobby prior to the program your book, Why Do I Feel This Way? And I know you had a book signing only last week.
That's right.
Last Tuesday. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to ask you how that went, but I want to get into the nitty-gritty of that whole idea in that, I'll back up a second. You took care of your husband who was very ill for a long period of time.
3 years.
And when you were facing that problem, you began to explore the possibility of how the mind can help reassess your situation and how to think about it, in that it may help you do what you have to do, and at the same time you feel better than you were feeling about the problem. Have I?
That's pretty much it. I really got.
I did a lousy job, just like managing the time for the ACLOWE Show. But why don't you talk about it?
Well, I turned into a crazy person is what happened, and I think that's what happens to anybody who does any caregiving. Mm-hmm. I know that you have an experience.
Yes, I understand. I'm losing my mind as we speak.
Because you make your world very small so that you can get your job done, and there's no room for anything else. And so I had 3 years of piling up feelings. First when he was diagnosed, and then when he was very ill, and he was for all of the 3 years, and it was crazy making. And I was very isolated, which is another thing that happens to caregivers. There isn't enough time to be socializing, and then in my case, Art didn't want anybody to know that he was sick, and so I was like being an outside person and an inside person. And I started to read about feelings and emotions from the perspective of brain science. I have no science background. I can't tell you why I turned to the brain science, but there was enough of it that made sense to me, so that I just kept reading. And over the last 15 years or so, I've built a huge library. And it all is about emotions and feelings, and some of memories, and a little bit of consciousness, and I'm sort of moving into reality as well. But basically what I learned is that all of the things that are there in our brains are there to help us. They're to help us make decisions and choices to keep ourselves from being crazy. There are tools.
You mean that we are designed, that the tools are there built into us not to go crazy when confronted with challenge.
Exactly.
Or else we could not have evolved to where we are now.
Well, okay. I
Well,
don't know
I'm
about
thinking that
evolution,
cave people
but-
had
That makes
tremendous challenges, and every day somebody wants to eat you.
Right.
I mean, that's how
Okay,
we started.
But there were way
and
fewer
not in a
challenges.
good way. I'm talking about this negative context.
They didn't have the New York City subway to deal with. They didn't have the truck traffic in the middle of the night.
Now
when
wait a
you're
minute.
trying
Are
to
you
sleep.
saying that? I don't think anything can deal with the subway. So yeah.
So there are these amazing tools, and we never knew anything about them before. And by we, I mean we who are not scientists, the non-scientists of the world. And I have a series of unscientific experiments in my book that anybody can do to realize the usefulness of the tools. And by tools, I mean feelings primarily. Feelings are there to tell you that you're having a reaction to something. And yet, most people don't trust their feelings. Most people have really bad relationships with their feelings. Everywhere I go in this country, I talk to people about their feelings. They are saying the worst things, and all of the things are things that I said myself before I understood. So my goal is really to have people understand that a feeling comes in just because you're reacting to something that happens. Good, bad, indifferent, it doesn't matter what it is. Something you imagine, something that's actually happening, something that somebody says to you, you trip over a stone, and there you are, you're having a feeling. You can't help getting the feeling. All those people who say, I don't have feelings, I don't let my feelings get in the way, that's nonsense.
I'm one of those people.
It's nonsense because it's happening to you, and it's happening to give you a sense. I hope I'm not going to use you as my guinea pig here, Star.
Uh-oh.
But
I do have a question
Sure.
after you make your point.
okay, well, I'll be brief about it. It's there to tell you that something has just happened. Your body chemistry is changing.
Mhm.
And then it moves into the thinking part of your brain. The purpose of moving into your thinking brain is so that you can look at it, think about it, talk to people about it, write about it, come back and get a sandwich and come back and think about it some more, whatever you want to do. And then you get to decide what you want to do with that feeling. Do you want to act on it? Do you want to sit on it a while? Do you want to never have anything to do with it again and you just drop the whole thing? You get to choose. You get to decide. And if you think that you're having a feeling every minute, it's probably even more often than that, you get a sense of how often that is happening to you. And most of us, by denying that we're having feelings, or by, in the case of the caregiver, being really afraid of your feelings, you don't get to use them. So I was able to, just reading the science and beginning to understand my own biology, basically, I was able to make myself a happier person. I was able to learn to trust completely. If a feeling comes in, I don't dodge it. I may not want to think about it right away, but I don't dodge it because it needs to be acknowledged. It's there. It's a tool for me to live my life with, for me to live my life deliberately, and for me to be the powerful person that evolution really has made me out to be.
Okay. Well, the question that I had is, would you say feelings and emotions are the same or different?
No, they're not the same.
What's the difference between
The difference is that if you run out into traffic and a truck really blasts you with his horn, you're going to freeze. That's an emotion. The emotion is forcing you to act. The cave people who stuck their heads out and had animals more than happy to eat them every time they turned around, they didn't have to think about it. Emotions work much more quickly than feelings do because they don't have to go through the thinking process. That's the fundamental difference.
Are emotions the building blocks of feelings?
Yes, because feelings will start out as emotions. You can get the emotion of anger, and it may or may not force you to act on it immediately. It can force you to run to get to safety, but it can also just then become a feeling that you're processing with your thoughts.
Right now, in my own case, I have a feeling of helplessness. Like it doesn't really matter what I do. And that's a very difficult thing. I've done this before. It's very difficult to contend with and to accept. I don't know where your methodology comes into play with something like that.
Well, where it comes in, I would say, is I learned a very interesting thing, which is that if people imagine their situation being different, if they imagine, let's say, a happy ending, if they imagine being powerful enough to turn the tide,